like to begin by saying that while I've worked in the arts my whole life and love it and attend thousands of performances and even participate in some, professionally I'm a very practical, maybe even cynical marketer. So you might listen to what I have to say and think that I am part of the problem, that I am speeding up the end of art for art's sake. And I understand where you're coming from. But I've worked in enough companies to know what the numbers are like behind the scenes and to know that we have to be practical and meet the audiences where they are if we're going to continue to bring in enough money to support the art. I've been marketing classical music for 20 years, and while the product hasn't changed, what we are selling has. When I started, the recording industry was really strong, and it did a very good job of making artists famous worldwide. We sold tickets off the names of artists. With the decline of the recording industry and the fragmentation of the media, fewer artists become very famous now. So perhaps about a decade ago, we moved into a period where we started selling tickets off the names of the composers and the pieces. Beethoven became classical music's biggest brand name seller. I believe we've now moved into a new era. An era in which most people in our society don't know what Beethoven 9 or King Lear or Carmen really are. Never mind Tchaik 6, The Tempest or Werther. Inside the arts, this is hard to imagine, but it was brought home to me when I watched that English quiz show Pointless and saw that a shockingly small number of people are able to name the plays that feature the characters Cordelia, Goneril and Regan or The Moor of Venice. So I see arts marketing heading for disaster. We keep advertising the Jupiter Symphony, Twelfth Night and Don Giovanni, even as fewer people know what they are and are able to respond. But this lack of familiarity with the art is only one of the challenges that we face. I think that there are 4 other challenges that we also must tackle. The first is cultural change. We all want to believe that art is timeless, that it will thrive forever due to quality. But will it? People mostly like the music that was popular when they were young. The last generation to grow up with classical music, those who were young in the 1930s, have kept it going, but are now passing. That's not timeless. That's decline in 3 generations. Arts appreciation is not really being passed on by families, and nor is the education system stepping in. The next challenge is digital disruption. Within the last few years, all art has become available online, free, anywhere. Artists no longer control access to the art. If you type Rigoletto into YouTube, you get 429,000 videos, including 20 complete performances. 30 years ago, if you wanted to see Rigoletto, you had to buy a ticket. You couldn't even buy a video, never mind watch it free online. Live performance is better, but when it's free, YouTube might be good enough. The next challenge is price. Price is very closely related to risk. Many people know exactly what they're going to get when they go and see The Lion King or Les Mis or Grease because of the movies. So those tickets should be more expensive than for Don Pasquale or Don Carlos. But actually, the opera tickets are twice as expensive as musicals because it costs so much to stage. Theatre tickets are 5 times more expensive than movie tickets. The next challenge is perceptions. This is not new, but we need to remember that with art forms like opera, we are battling 400 odd years of brand perception which says that it's boring, intimidating entertainment for rich, stuffy people. Even those of us marketing contemporary theatre or dance face perceptions of elitism. Potential patrons stay away out of fear of not getting it or not belonging. We can blame the education system or pop culture or attention spans or whatever for this, but that won't do us any good. We have to find a new way to keep selling tickets so that artists can keep creating. This requires a shift. Entertainment marketing is all about exciting customers about specific shows that are on for a short time only. That's what we know how to do. If I'm honest with myself, I know there are only about 6 operas that have general public recognition, but we keep advertising the others anyway because we have to do something, right? And yet I know better. I know better because I spend time drinking with customers. and I say to them, "Do you come here often?" And that is usually enough to elicit their entire experience with the performing arts, what they're expecting, why they're there, and more. If you've never spent time actually talking to your customers, I recommend it. It gives you a visceral understanding of what business you're really in. So I talk to customers, and I've learnt that quite a lot of them are quite unfamiliar with what they're about to see. In Sydney, because we perform at the Sydney Opera House, we have a huge tourist audience. But tourism is not the only driver. For many people, going to the performing arts is a date or a gift or a social occasion. No one needs to see La Boheme, but they do need a birthday treat for their partner, a Christmas gift for their mother, or something to do with the kids during the holidays. So, not knowing about the art form is not necessarily a barrier to attending, which is a relief if arts education is declining. We can sell tickets to people who aren't really familiar with the arts by presenting the arts as a solution to needs that they actually have, when and where they're looking for the solutions for those needs. It's then up to the art to win them over. This is a marketing concept that is as old as the hills. It's selling the benefits and not just the features. But we've not really had to do it in the arts because up until recently, naming the work and the artists was enough to sell the tickets. Our job is much harder now. So in addition to the usual marketing about specific operas, we've added campaigns that speak to the needs customers meet with our events. And the good news is that we sell as many tickets via these new campaigns as we do via the traditional campaigns. I'll show you some examples of the types of campaigns that are working. So when we use that video internationally, the product that we're selling, the need that we're meeting is the best way to experience the Sydney Opera House. When we use it locally, we're selling the most impressive night out in Sydney. We're promising customers social value as well as artistic value. Last year, this campaign, when used in trackable online advertising, sold as many tickets as online ads for Tosca. In the same vein, here is our generic campaign for opera at the Sydney Opera House. This summer, when used in online advertising, it sold more tickets than online ads for the Pearl-Fishers or the Barber of Seville. Here is a video clip for La Boheme, which is totally different to the usual video clips that we release of production footage, and nearly 1 million people have watched it because it was released by Tourism Australia, who would never have released a video of production footage. Here is our video on the website that people go to find gift ideas, Red Balloon, which has sold hundreds of tickets. Here is our page on the Experiences website, Viator, which people go to find out things to do in Sydney, which has also sold hundreds of tickets. Here is our page on Groupon, which we don't use because it's a discount site, but because it puts our events in front of customers who would not normally otherwise consider them. They've sold thousands of tickets to people who are new to our database. Here is our page on Business Events Sydney, which is the organisation that secures conferences for Sydney. They've sold 700 tickets to conference delegates in the last month. Here is our page on Expedia, the world's biggest travel website. Again, hundreds of tickets. Here is our Christmas gift campaign. We hadn't advertised this before and voucher sales doubled. Here is The Bachelor at the Opera, presenting opera as a date option to its million viewers. Here are celebrities at the opera, presenting opera as an entertainment option for successful people. And behind most of these campaigns are landing pages on our website, which you won't find in the navigation, but to which we direct people when we know what need they're looking to fulfil. This page is for people who responded to Valentine's Day advertising. So without changing the product, we've changed what we sell. It's important to note, though, that in doing this, we're only following the customers. They're way ahead of us, already using our events to fulfil needs that we hadn't even considered, never mind promoted. We're also following other branches of the entertainment industry. The zoo, for example, doesn't advertise that it's got an exhibition of zebras on. It advertises itself as a solution to what to do with the kids during the holidays or for their birthday. And dare I say it, the most commercially successful acts in classical music are so because of what they really sell. Where one musician offers the best possible performance of the repertoire, the other one promises to make you feel romantic, and we know which one fills stadia. Marketing works when you promise to make someone an ideal version of themselves. Because everyone is starring in a movie, the movie of their life, and we in the arts can sell them a chance to create one of the more remarkable nights in that life. Opera playing at the Opera House is routine, but Paul and Amy going to the opera is a highlight of their year. So we no longer sell 200 performances a year, we sell 300,000 amazing nights. Or as Facebook would put it, life events. Does this make the arts a sideshow in somebody's night out? Well, maybe. But maybe it is for all but the avid fans anyway. When you go to a restaurant, you choose it based on the style of food and the reputation of the chef, but really the food is a sideshow to spending time with friends. So having made campaigns promising to make opera a big night out, we have to make sure that it is. There's been a shift in marketing. It used to be that the companies that had the most money to spend on advertising won. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't help that Opera Australia has more money to spend on advertising than other arts companies because it has more tickets to sell, nor am I saying that it's not a problem that the musicals have far more money than opera. That does have an effect. But really, the kind of marketing that works, you can't buy. It's the kind of marketing that comes not when you deliver a very good product to the level customers expect, it's the kind of marketing that comes when you push beyond what customers expect and surprise them. At Opera Australia, we have first-hand experience of this. We send customers a survey after they attend asking where they heard about the event. In 2014, for performances at the Sydney Opera House, 6% said word of mouth or social media. For Handa Opera and Sydney Harbour, 62% said word of mouth or social media. And the difference is that for Handa Opera and Sydney Harbour, we create an amazing experience around the performance. When I saw these results, I saw a missed opportunity to sell tickets for the performances in the theatre. Clearly, going to the opera at the Sydney Opera House is not something you'd talk about, although the tickets are just as expensive and the experience should be just as amazing as Handa Opera and Sydney Harbour. The performance, of course, is excellent. The work, singers, chorus, orchestra, productions, everything is outstanding. But the thing is, of course they are. If you're paying $200 and going to your city's major performing arts centre, outstanding is the least you expect. And when you get what you expect, however good that is, you don't talk about it. In the arts, the core product is, of course, sacrosanct. But the experience around the performance can be looked at. So we've been experimenting with making the experience around the performance more interesting and building in opportunities for the audience to share the experience. We create pop-up restaurants in the foyer themed to the opera. We have a photographer at the opera every night asking the audience to pose for photos like you see in social pages to make them feel important and give them content to share online. We have displays of opera props and costumes in the foyers that customers can pose with. We make going to the opera fun, interactive and shareable. We also provide content that makes the opera easy to understand and talk knowledgeably about, like our very popular cheat sheets, which include conversation starters I've heard people using in the bathroom queue. The interesting thing about this work is that it's a bit of an arms race. One of our most successful activations is the pop-up bar in the northern foyer of the Sydney Opera House, using furniture from old opera productions. Within weeks, this went from surprise and delight on a grand scale to a basic service that customers expect, so they don't talk about it. So we have to continuously try new ideas, drop them if they fail, make them routine if they succeed, and think up new ways to delight the customers and trigger chatter. I said that I should say that happily this year, the number of people who heard about the summer season of opera from word of mouth or social media has increased to 9%. I said that the reason we're doing this is to fulfil the promise that we make in marketing, but we are simultaneously combating the challenges that I outlined earlier. Cultural change. We're addressing the difficulty of fewer people being familiar with the works we present by making it about them. The Opera Sydney style campaign is very much about the audience, not just the work. Digital disruption. Live performance is better, but when it's free, YouTube may be good enough. So we're doing more to make the live experience essential by making it about the customer. Price. Enabling social media sharing generates reassuring word of mouth. And if Opera Australia is to maintain the prices required to support employment for thousands of artists, the price-value equation has to be improved by offering customers social as well as artistic value. And perceptions. The photos used of the audience during this presentation were all taken at the opera this summer, so you can see that the audience for opera has diversified. We can't sit back and wait for the inevitable decline. We have to find new ways to sell tickets. We're in a new era for marketing the arts. It's harder than ever, but it can be fun, creative and successful when you look beyond the stage and out into the audience. Talk to your audience. Find out why they're attending. The answers might surprise and guide you, as they have me and my colleagues. Selling the benefits, not just the features, has allowed us to reach a wider audience for our art, and isn't that what we're all after? In conclusion, I'd like to acknowledge the influence of Trevor O'Donnell's book, Marketing the Arts to Death, and I'd like to thank the Opera Australia marketing team for recognising the challenges that I've spoken about, identifying solutions, and implementing the tactics I've spoken about today, which have successfully diversified the audience. Thank you.